remember being just hating myself, like actually genuinely hating myself for being not what I thought my dad wanted me to be. Me and my brother just played video games all the time, just, you know, we'd go to school, come home, and straight, first thing you do, hop into the beanie bags and play Xbox. And we'd play for hours, like. We were never forced to do any work on the farm. You know, we were let do our own thing.
Now, we did go out and we helped, but we don't have the same enthusiasm for it. We don't have the passion that Dad has for it.
Quite literally, an awful lot of it's in your... And definitely when you come into the springtime of the year and you see new life, and you actually can see the grass growing, you can really smell it growing, it just gives you a lift.
He has this thing where and he's right, there's no point in pushing you towards doing it. Do you know, if you're not into it, you're not into it. But at the same time, he's really good at laying a guilt trip on you.
I know when I was younger, I felt bad kind of for not, you know, following in his footsteps. When I was 16, I just needed a job anyway, so that was one thing, but I felt like it was my duty, you know, that I had to start working on it just to, you know, seek his approval.
You were doing, the year before that, you'd done some of the
weekends.
The weekends.
Yeah.
To nick money off me.
To nick money off you, exactly.
Jessica used to drive the tractor to silage when we were at the silage herself. She used to drive alongside the harvester. And when she was a small child, she was good at actually drawing the stock. So
I found this diary entry from when I was about almost 13. Basically, this family came to visit us at Christmas time, and there was a little boy in the family, and the diary entry says he's cracked on tractors, and Dad brought him out in the dark to see one of ours. It's a bit strange because Dad doesn't normally bother with kids, but I think he secretly would love a boy to inherit the farm and help him. So I was even thinking then about this stuff, you know, and I had said, somehow I think Mom won't have any more kids though.
Actually, that was in '94, so we were born
the next year.
We were born. She was pregnant at that time.
It was obvious at that stage that I didn't want it, because I wasn't thinking, oh God, I hope he doesn't have any boys because I want it. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking, if he had some boys, maybe they'd do something with it.
You said I've done a few little bits and pieces around the place, but you'd have driven the machinery a bit.
I didn't actually know how to do a lot of the things that I should have known how to do, like, you know, drive the tractor, give silage to the cattle in the slats, diagnose sick animals or anything like that, and I still don't. But, you know, all those there's loads of little things that Dad was able to do just purely out of experience.
Come on, dogs. As
I started working on the farm, I was still, you know, doing all the things that, you know, I like to do, what I really like to do, you know, sitting around playing Xbox and stuff, but I was feeling better about myself because I was working at the same time. I was like, you know, I was starting to do the jobs, you know, like starting to work with Dad and getting to know Dad better and, you know, just being a farmer's son.
With Dad, it's kind of like, it's like an obsession. You work to live, you don't live to work. Well, that is completely the opposite in Dad's book. He doesn't have a huge life outside of the farm. So that never really would have encouraged us to feel like, oh, let's take this on. You know, we want a life. We don't want to spend our lives just working for the sake of working.
It's a way of life that a lot of people that are not from a farming background do not understand.
You know, I liked working on the farm, but I didn't, you know, I wanted it to just be a 9-to-5 job. I didn't want to have to do it all the time, you know. I wanted that you could get away from it, you know. Most jobs you can go to and then come home and leave your job where work is. But with farming, it's not like that. It's always there. You're living on the farm, you know, you're living at your job.
Dad puts in a huge amount of effort. I mean, he works all the time, and so I felt like I'd never be able to fill those shoes or, well, boots.
I was flicking through a college prospectus just in my room that I got from secondary school, so I was flicking through it and I seen TV and media. And I don't come from a media background at all. I just looked it up then on YouTube, the course, and it was like a promotional video, and just thinking, oh, this looks kind of fun. Like there was animation and stuff involved, and I just was kind of interested. I remember watching all those videos on YouTube, and always thinking, like, you know, how do they actually do it? I decided, you know, I was going to go with this course. But at the same time, I could work, you know, I could stay working on the farm, but just do the course just to keep me occupied or whatever, and, you know, use that as a secondary, you know, if I need to fall back on something, just in case the farm doesn't work out. I remember thinking at first, like this isn't for me. It was just different. Everything, you know, it was like it wasn't anything that I knew, you know.
So my skill on the farm had improved greatly since when I started working on the farm, and I was able to do a lot of things on my own. I got a lot of responsibility put on my own shoulders, so I could go collect stock in the tractor with the trailer and do things on my own, like deliveries or collect grain.
The course, you know, gradually started to grow in me. You know, I was actually starting to enjoy media work more and more, and I really got an interest in editing. I just love kind of, you know, when everybody comes to you with all the footage and then you just put it together, you know, you're the one who's creating the storyline, you know. I had to pretty much choose between the course and, you know, staying working at home as well. Like I couldn't, you know, with time management, I just couldn't fit them both in.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer June the 28th, 2013. It's a huge bolt out of the blue when you get a diagnosis like that, and I just felt like the ground was ready to open up and swallow me. We
were all pretty devastated. I knew that things were going to get way harder at home. You know, Dad would have to look after her and look after the farm, and it was coming into winter as well, and you know, it's not a nice time to be working on the farm, and then trying to deal with all that stuff at the side is, you know, it's tough. Like Dad, you know, was working harder than ever,
and then he comes in and he says, oh, I have to unwind, and he'll turn on the television, and the next thing he's asleep, and he mightn't come to bed till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's not a proper sleep.
I knew that I wasn't going to stick to farming, so in a way I was kind of back to square one.
Well, we did the radiotherapy for what, 5 weeks or so. So I was finished that, was it April time? And I'd say it was, I'd say near Christmas by the time I was feeling kind of somewhat more normal. I mean, my hair had started growing back by kind of September time, which my grandchildren, of course, thought was very funny. Granny, take your scarf off. Can we see is your hair back yet?
In second year, we made this kind of a documentary project, and I was editor for my group. So I remember doing it, and the final product I was actually pretty proud of. I liked it. I thought it was good. You know, it was the first decent thing that I made. You know, even actually looking back on it now, probably wasn't that great. When I came home, I showed it on the laptop to my family. You know, I showed it to my brother and my mum and my sisters, and you know, they all thought it was pretty good. But what really mattered was Dad's opinion. I was sitting there with the laptop, so I said, "Oh, I'll just show it to him." So, you know, I turned it on and he watched it. And, you know, usually he'd watch, you know, so much of it and he'd just get bored, and you could tell, like, but he didn't, you know, he stayed watching it, and, you know, at the end I remember him putting his hand on my shoulder and, you know, saying something along the lines of, you know, that's pretty good, well done.
You know, I think it was his duty, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that, you know, it's not like that. I mean, I could basically don't really give a hoot what you do, so long as you're able to provide for yourselves. Just pick your right partner, and you're happy with what you're doing.
Why am I so worried about impressing him by doing, you know, farm-related things? He'll be happy whatever I do, so long as I'm happy. And, you know, that was the big thing for me. That's, you know, where I got over the whole, you know, you got to be a farmer's son.